What's going on, everybody? Brian here from Brian's Broadcast. I hope all of you are doing fantastic. If you are a first-time visitor on my channel, make sure you're subscribed and hit the thumbs up button if you like fragrance-related contents. Now, of course, I do giveaways on my channel, so if you don't want to miss out on an opportunity like that, make sure you are subscribed. Today, we're going to talk about the much talked about Dior Homme Parfum. Now, of course, I may be late to the game, but again, like I said, I don't buy the hype. It's just that it was not one of my priority purchases. So I thought, hey, okay, at this point, I've got quite a lot of dark fragrances, so why not one more? And then I was like, given to temptation, and, certainly I got a partial bottle, a high partial of the Dior Homme Parfum, which is not readily available in the United States. It's available in the discounters and in other places, but then again, in general, Dior does not sell it in the United States. For those of you who are new, first time visiting, or first time hearing about this particular one, this is what the presentation looks like. This is the Parfum version that it says right over here, and it's pretty basic. It's nothing super special. The bottle looks beautiful, I must say. It's got a beautiful deep ambery kind of juice color, and the cap is like, it's plastic, it's very clear, it's very nice, and the bottle has like a dark gray or black kind of like a, what do you call, like a tint. It looks very elegant and beautiful, trust me. The atomizer is very decent, and this is what it looks like. In case you're wondering if you got a fake or something, this is what the original looks like. There you go. Looks nice. Enough chit-chat with the presentation. Let's talk about the notes. So on the top, you have Tuscan iris, Italian orange. In the mids, you've got leather and rose. On the base, you've got sandalwood, amberette, which is musk mallow. I will talk about that in a minute. You've got agar oud, which is oud, and cedarwood. Now, this particular fragrance, although there's not too many notes in there, but I'll try my best to describe this fragrance as simply and as effectively as possible. Now, the first time when I sprayed this fragrance, it came in as a shock. Now, the reason being, people talked about this lipstick kind of vibe. Now, this is directly connected with the iris and the orange combination. Now, remember, the orange over here, it's not your typical fresh, fruity orange. What happens over here, it's like the zest of the orange, I believe, and the iris, which is very dense. It's not overly powdery, I must say. Dior Homme Parfum is not too powdery in my opinion, but there's a deep connection to like the way it opens up, the darkness with which it opens up, but at the same time, there's kind of like a bursting freshness kind of thing that's coming through up front. So the iris here does not seem powdery, rather kind of like feels like a sticky, almost like a, kind of like gives that vintage old school kind of vibe. But let me tell you, this fragrance is not for everybody. In my humble opinion, guys, if you're thinking about buying this, I would highly recommend you must sample this. Do not buy Dior Homme Parfum blindly. You may be asking, Brian, did you try it? No, I did not, because again, this is part of my journey. I do not regret any blind buys, but there are a lot of you, because this one does not come in cheap. Even at discounters, it ranges somewhere in between $170 to almost $200. So that's quite a lot of money for a lot of people. So I don't mind spending the money, but there are other people who may have other priorities in life. So I highly recommend try before you buy. Do not go blindly with this one. This is not for everybody. Now, this is a more mature kind of scent. So like I was saying, the iris is almost like a sticky lipstick kind of vibe, has that almost like a makeup kind of feel. But let me tell you something, this by no means is a feminine kind of opening. It's very masculine, it's dark, has that stickiness from the iris, and at the same time, it's beautiful. It's a very clean opening, dark, deep, and very clean. Drying down, you have leather and rose. Now, I did not detect any rose, but the leather over here is more like working in the background. So over here, the rose may be balancing out some of that bitterness from the iris and the orange zest kind of vibe. So the orange and the iris vibe is kind of like subdued, like it's being rounded off by this rose, and the leather in the background is adding to the luxurious depth. Now the leather over here is not super prominent, but you will feel the presence of leather, which is very like mellow, and it's beautifully done. Like it's not one of your sharp leather based fragrances. It's very smooth. It's as if like you'll almost never feel it. Imagine if you had a super nice and smooth, sweet leather jacket, which is like you don't feel the leather when you're wearing that jacket, right? I mean, the smell, you don't get any leather kind of smell from that jacket, like not too strong. Even if it is there, it's very mild. That's the kind of thing I'm trying to say over here. Drying down, things get a bit interesting. So you've got sandalwood, ambrette, oud, and cedar. Now remember, oud over here, it's not one of your skanky or barnyard kind of oud. It's more like on the darker side. It's a bit more on the deep woody kind of oud. And remember, if you're not used to oud or the combination of oud and sandalwood, let me just give you my 2 cents. It's just that sandalwood is one of those creamy or woody notes that balances out the potency or like the harshness of oud when it's used in fragrances, and specifically when used properly, the dry down. These are basically always almost in the dry down at the base level, so that like the oud does not overpower the other things, because remember, oud in general is a very potent fragrance material. It's a natural ingredient, but it's very expensive, and at the same time it's very potent. If used wrongly, the fragrance is you won't be able to wear it. It's gonna be trash, trust me. That's why the oud is definitely balanced out by the sandalwood over here. Ambrette seeds, or like this is like a vegan or vegetarian source of musk, clean musk. Now, of course, musk, like deer musk or anything which is animal based, it's not always available due to because of it being very rare, and of course being illegal to trade in those things. So of course, fragrance makers or perfumers, they use ambrette seeds. I believe this is one of those flower seeds where you get that kind of like a clean, almost like a detergent kind of vibe, but a very fresh, clean, as if like a white linen kind of vibe from ambrette seeds. And this is exactly what happens, because this fragrance turns into something very clean. There's nothing super powdery about this fragrance, nothing too powdery about Dior Homme Parfum. It's very nice, clean, and it just smells really gorgeous. There's a depth, there's a kind of like a complexity to this fragrance. I wouldn't say this fragrance opens up too much, but whatever complexity it has, it's just the perfect amount. Perfect thing for like a dress-up situation. If you're going on a date or something, you want to impress people, well, this is one of them. But remember, like I said, this has that old school vintage kind of feel. It's a fragrance for the matured crowd, so your nose must be able to appreciate the way this fragrance develops, the way it opens up. And finally, the touch of cedarwood kind of like rounds up the whole thing, as if like a dry, woody kind of base. And remember, the powderiness, like slight powderiness, and the sticky lipstick kind of iris, it lives throughout the entire lifetime of the fragrance. Let's talk about longevity. Now, for the first hour and a half, Dior Homme Parfum is very, very loud. So on the first day when I put it, I went like 6 or 8 sprays, and this thing was projecting like a monster. But around like 2.5 to 2.5 hour mark, what happened was this fragrance slowly like comes towards you, like it sits a bit more closer to you, but it's almost as if like in an arm's length. So you will be covered in this wonderful scent bubble. And because it's a parfum concentration, it sticks I mean, the oil concentration is higher. So, of course, this one sticks to your skin. So, the more your body heats up, the more it will pronounce itself. Now, of course, like I said, this is around 2.5 to 3 hours mark. And further going down, this fragrance turns into a beautiful, wonderful, dark, almost has that tad bit of bitterness to it, but it's a very woody, dark, resinous, and opulent fragrance, which will definitely capture attention. I don't know if it's going to turn heads, because people who will appreciate it will definitely turn heads, but I don't know about you, well, how it's going to react with your skin. That's why I said try before you buy. Dior Homme Parfum, try before you buy. Now, the performance, longevity, on this one, I found this has great longevity. I found this one to be, with like 6 to 8 sprays, it easily goes 10 plus hours very easily. Now, of course, unless your skin is very dry, this thing is gonna last, has some good longevity, and like it keeps you wrapped up in this wonderful scent bubble. So if you can spare that kind of money, if you like that kind of a scent profile, I will highly recommend this as a must-have in your collection. But again, be aware, this fragrance is not for everybody. This has, like, you need to have that sense of smell, how a fragrance develops, and you must be able to detect and understand the complexity of a fragrance. Otherwise, this I let some of my coworkers smell this, and there were like several elder people who were like they just took the first whiff, or maybe I sprayed it on paper and let them have it, and they were like, oh God, this is something my grandpa would wear. So mind you, you need to be at that grandpa level complexity to understand the beauty of this fragrance. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad fragrance. This is a beautiful thing. But again, this is kind of like a bit polarizing, not for everybody. That's why I said, try before you buy. That was my humble and honest take on Dior Homme Parfum. Do not buy out of hype. You might regret it. That's why I said again, Dior Homme Parfum, try before you buy. Do not go in blindly. This thing does not come in cheap, and at the same time, I don't want you to be wasting your money. My humble 2 cents, guys. Let me know in the comment section below if you like this fragrance, if you hate it, why, what are the reasons. Do let me know, and I will highly appreciate if you have not subscribed. And if you've come this far, please do consider subscribing and hitting the thumbs up button if you like contents like these. Until the next one, guys, please take care, stay safe, and all the best.